entered her teenage years with new awareness. She now understood that what had happened to her wasn't simply curiosity or a mistake. It was a health risk, one that many children her age were silently facing. Before her experience, Maria had believed that danger came only from strangers or dark streets. But now she understood that danger sometimes comes through screens quietly, invisibly, without warning. She learned that early exposure to sexual content affects a child's health in many ways. Mental health problems like anxiety, guilt, and depression, disturbed sleep, nightmares, and overthinking, confusion about body image and low self-esteem, premature hormones and stress reactions that the body cannot manage, addiction-like behavior, where a child keeps searching for more without understanding why, damaged understanding of relationships, consent, trust, and boundaries. Maria realized that none of this was her fault. It was the lack of protection, the lack of awareness, and the easy access to harmful online content that led her to danger. She decided she didn't want other children to go through what she did. She began speaking with her school counselor, learning about digital safety and mental health. She learned why children fall into such traps. They feel lonely or bored. They want attention or affection they don't get at home. They copy what older kids do. They see inappropriate ads online. They don't know how to handle sudden emotions or hormonal changes. Their devices have no restrictions. They don't have trusted adults to talk to. Maria's healing journey became her strength. She realized that protecting children wasn't about shame. It was about guidance, education, and safe environments. She joined a school awareness club. She helped teachers create workshops. She spoke to younger students about safe internet use and emotional health. She never shared her own story publicly, but she used her experience to guide others silently. And slowly, she became someone she didn't expect. A voice of awareness, a symbol of resilience, a reminder that mistakes don't define you. How you rise as Maria learned that children should stay away from adult content. Speak to trusted adults when something feels wrong. Use devices safely. Protect their mental health. Understand that growing up takes time and there's no need to rush. The message was simple yet powerful. Childhood is not meant for adult experiences. By the time Maria turned 15, she looked back at her 12-year-old self with compassion. She no longer felt shame. She felt strength. She knew the dangers now. She understood the risks, and she wanted the world to understand them too. Her journey became a quiet promise to protect innocence, to create awareness, to remind children that they deserve a safe, healthy, peaceful childhood. And so, Maria's story wasn't just about confusion or fear. It was about healing. It was about learning. It was about choosing a better future. Maria was 16 when she realized that her story had shaped her in ways she never expected. The confusion she once felt at 12, the fear she carried at 13, and the healing she experienced at 14 and 15, all of it became part of a bigger purpose. By now, Maria had grown into a confident young girl who understood her emotions, respected her boundaries, and valued her mental health. She had learned something powerful. Pain can break you, or it can teach you. And she chose to let it teach her. But Maria also noticed something upsetting. Many other children, some younger, some her age, were still falling into the same trap she had once fallen into. Every week, the school counselor shared alarming stories. Kids as young as 10 accidentally seeing inappropriate videos. 11-year-olds getting exposed to harmful apps. 12-year-olds developing anxiety without understanding why. Maria felt a familiar ache in her heart. She knew that silent confusion too well. She knew how heavy it felt. She knew how lonely it could be. She had lived it. One day, the school counselor approached her after a workshop. "Maria, your understanding is special," she said warmly. "Would you like to help us with a new project, a youth safety program?" Maria hesitated. She wasn't sure she was ready for such responsibility. But then she thought about the 12-year-old version of herself, the girl who wished someone had warned her before her world became confusing. "Yes," Maria said softly, "I want to help," and so her journey continued. The project begins. Maria joined a small team of students. Their goal was simple: to educate younger children about emotional health, safe internet use, and understanding personal boundaries. But how do you teach something so delicate? How do you explain danger without creating fear? How do you protect innocence without taking away curiosity? Maria spent days thinking. Eventually, she came up with an idea. Tell stories. Stories that teach, stories that comfort, stories that guide. She remembered how stories helped her heal, how they made complex issues easier to understand. So Maria started writing small fictional stories for kids. Stories about a girl who learned to be careful online. Stories about a boy who talked to his parents when something felt wrong. Stories about friendship, trust, and mental strength. The stories weren't about fear, they were about wisdom. Slowly, her stories began spreading through the school. Teachers read them in classrooms. Younger students listened quietly, absorbing every word. Some even came to Maria afterward, telling her that the stories made them think differently. And Maria felt proud, not of herself, but of what the message was doing. The awareness grows. After a few months, the project grew bigger. Parents started attending workshops. Teachers requested more training. Students asked for more sessions. Maria became the bridge between young minds and adult guidance. During a Q&A session, a little girl raised her hand and timidly asked, "Why do bad things show up on the internet even when we don't search for them?" Maria took a deep breath. She knew the answer all too well, because the internet is big, she explained gently. It has wonderful things and harmful things. But just like we don't walk into dangerous streets, we also need to stay away from dangerous websites. The girl nodded as if a heavy weight had lifted from her small shoulders. Another student asked, "What if we see something that makes us uncomfortable?" Maria smiled kindly. "Then you talk to someone you trust, a teacher, a parent, a big sister. You don't hide it inside. Your feelings matter." These sessions became Maria's purpose. The truth about early exposure. As Maria grew more involved, she learned a lot from psychologists and counselors. They explained things in scientific ways. A child's brain isn't ready to process adult content. Early exposure can disrupt emotional development. It can create unrealistic ideas about relationships. It can harm self-confidence and body image. It can trigger stress, guilt, or mood swings. It can distract from studies and personal growth. Maria realized that her story was not just personal, it was part of a worldwide issue. Millions of children were facing the same danger, and many were suffering silently. That's when Maria decided something important. She would not let this subject remain hidden. She would not let children suffer in silence. She would become the voice she once needed. A message to parents. One afternoon, Maria was invited to speak at a parent-teacher meeting. She had never spoken in front of so many adults before, and her heart raced. But she took a deep breath and began. When children are quiet, it doesn't always mean they are safe. Sometimes silence means confusion, fear, shame. Today's children face dangers that enter through screens. They don't always understand what they see, and they don't know how to talk about.